For those of us who've joined us in Napa before, you know the Beta SMB Institute Leaders Forum is special. It's a special location, a special venue, and best of all, special people. We pride ourselves on curating an A-list of attendees, the best and brightest leaders of our $500 billion plus business to small business marketplace. And every day we are adding speakers, workshops, and special events to this intimate forum, all of it highlighting the shared challenges and opportunities in a setting that drives casual and candid exchange. Join us at the 2022 Beta SMB Institute Leaders Forum, May 11th and 12th in Napa, California. Tickets are on sale now at betasmbi.com/leadersforum22. Hey, good day, everybody. Dave Walker here again. And I wanted to have a conversation actually that was suggested to me by one of our guests here on the notion that small businesses, what's being demanded of them right now, frankly, is to think bigger. And it's not just think bigger in the context of what are they going to do to grow now that we're coming out of this horrible last 2 years, but really, what are they going to do to position themselves for sustainability and for success and for the next event that potentially strikes them and strikes at the heart of their business. What I'm reminded of is that back in the early 2000s, which is dating myself terribly, but in the very early 2000s, small businesses fell behind very quickly on adoption of the web and the internet for commerce. And some would argue they never caught up. And then the same thing happened with mobile. And as you really look at the digital transformation that really many small businesses have gone through over the course of the last 2 years, have they finally caught up? And have they caught up to the point where actually, in some cases, they may be able to get ahead? So with that as a backdrop, very heady conversation that we're going to get in, hopefully very candidly and very casually with our two guests. I want to start out by introducing Chris Shank from Verizon Business. Chris, welcome.
Hi, Dave. Good morning. Looking forward to the discussion today.
Yes, as well. And you're joined by Scott Norwalk of centerfield/business.com. Welcome, Scott.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, let's circle back and give you guys the opportunity to do the 411 on each of you, your names, your backgrounds, your titles, what you do, particularly for your enterprise. Chris, starting with you.
So Dave, I am Chris Shank. I lead our business innovation for Verizon for the wireless side of our business for small businesses. And we lead innovation programs specifically dedicated toward that segment of customers. I'm a 25-year veteran of Verizon. I've split my time roughly half between our consumer group and our business group. So I've certainly worked with those businesses that sit right at that cusp of, are they an individual, are they a business, and they're making that transition. And when you think about Verizon, we first and foremost are a technology company. So our mission is to deliver innovative products and solutions in a way that drives growth, not only for us, but for our small business customers as well. And we enable companies to collaborate, protect their assets, manage their logistics, and gain insights.
Awesome intro. Scott, how about you?
I am Scott Norwalk, President of Business Services at Centerfield, which includes business.com and businessnewsdaily.com. I've been with Centerfield for 11 years, which is since day one of Centerfield. I've seen us grow from our 14 people to over 2,200 employees around the globe. Business.com and businessnewsdaily.com reach over 20 million professionals each year. Our content that we create behind an amazing editorial staff is around building better businesses. Includes product and service recommendations, as well as career advice, opinion, and overall business advice. It's assorted by topic: marketing, HR, tech, etc. And our business model is advertiser supported. So we are, or B2Bs pay us when we deliver a click, a lead, or a call.
Awesome. You actually were one of the first attendees to our events back in October of 2017. Yes. So thank you for your history with the Institute.
My pleasure. It was a great
glad
event.
to have you here in this relatively new role for you.
Yes.
Why don't we start with you, Scott, on really our audience always appreciates the perspective of peers, and specifically of late, I think a lot of us appreciate just the perspective on the last 2 years, especially. So why don't you just kind of give us from where you sat from your chair, what did you see? What do you see what do you see happening? What do you see still happening? What do you see happening in the immediate future? Give us the whole picture.
Yeah, I mean, from our perspective, or my chair where I sit, business decision makers are turning to the internet more and more, like they would in their consumer lives, and researching and comparing products before purchase. That goes for everything from a cleaning service to credit card processing for their business. So if you're an SMB or you have a distributed sales force, you've got to be in front of your decision makers when they're researching your product or service.
And Chris, how about from your perspective?
Well, if you think about the last few years, really businesses, regardless of what size they are, have had some of their most challenging years on record. But we've done some surveying here at Verizon to get a sense of the current sentiment. And we did a small business recovery survey and found that of the 600 businesses we surveyed, 68% predict their business will be better off a year versus now. And when you think throughout COVID, many small and mid-sized businesses felt the brunt of the pandemic's effects. At the forefront of these issues for many businesses were staff and supply shortages, forced closures, dwindling in-person business, and capacity restrictions. Then when you look at mid-sized businesses, there was rapid growth, but some of that came without support, such as internal IT departments to support that growth. So the business owners and decision makers had to make difficult decisions as they tried to stay afloat. There were some that didn't make it, but those that survived the impacts of COVID-19 did so because they successfully reimagined their business and they embraced digital transformation to pivot, rebuild, and restart, much of what Scott talked about with the internet. And so we at Verizon saw an opportunity to help because we know that small businesses are critically valuable and the economic stability of our communities is based on their success. So it was critical during the past 2 years that we leaned in, supported these businesses, made sure they could continue to sustain themselves during this unprecedented time of need. And so we took actions like a mixture of grants, one-to-one coaching, technological support, and really our year-plus long efforts here injected badly needed help for this group.
And would you say, next question, would you say that you're seeing your indications are that small businesses are starting to move out of some survival mode and more into sustainability and growth mode?
I have seen that. And specifically, those that are survived are really eager to get growing again because they've learned to adapt to the new business standard. So now when they think about next steps, they have to regulate and optimize the new protocols that they had to put in place. And so as they continue to work through the kinks in the new processes, they can quickly implement these practices at all of their locations, including if they establish new ones. So while they're moving out of survival mode, they are trying to find their new normal, just like the rest of us are. And we need to be mindful that when our customers buy from us, many of them are making significant investments. And so we have a responsibility to provide an immediate return on those investments because we're dealing with customers who need to maintain liquidity and stability. And those expectations and needs are probably at all-time highs.
And what are, Scott, for you, I mean, you're obviously watching the traffic every single day on the questions that small businesses are asking. Same question to you. Are you seeing indications that the things they're asking about are not so much plexiglass dividers for my restaurant? They really are things that kind of indicate they're interested in getting back to the business of growing.
There's a couple of things, right? So number one, we're seeing that, especially in the lead generation aspect of our business, we're seeing that leads convert, and they convert when businesses do the things that they need to do as far as follow-up processes on email and on the phone. If they're rapid, if they're specific, if they're courteous in their sales, they will drive new business. And then right now they are doubling down on what works. especially in that process. So if they found something in their new normal over the last 2 years that works, they're doubling down on it. And that's specific to growing new customers from a lead gen perspective. I think in the new normal, and you'll see this a lot in our topics, our core focus has shifted to communications tools, both with a distributed workforce and a customer that's not coming into your store per se. So the content that B2Bs are asking for and that we're delivering is around CRMs, fleet management technology, point of sale systems, new tools that they can use to grow their business when they're not, hand to hand or face to face with their customers or their employees.
And you would argue that some of the categories that you just mentioned, or the inquiries that you just mentioned, those are where you're starting to see, these are the real sustainable opportunities right now in the market space.
Absolutely. Where maybe a customer, small business didn't need a point of sale system 2 years ago because everybody was coming into their store and having a hand-to-hand transaction. Now they've had to go online. It has to be a hybrid delivery. It has to be a hybrid delivery of both service and workforce. So they need these tools to do it.
Chris, same question to you. And I think Scott gave you kind of a good segue of how you guys have really aligned your workforce to really work that hybrid solution. Talk to us a little bit about the opportunities that you see.
When I think about Scott's examples, and we're hearing the same thing, a lot of these are digital tools, and these digital tools allow small, medium businesses to operate and grow their business as the landscape is changing. So I'll reference that same recovery survey I talked about. If we look today, 63% of the businesses said they're using digital tools and technologies to enhance customer experiences and create new business opportunities. A year ago, that was 53%. So quite a bit of movement in just 1 year. And one of the easiest and most efficient ways to do this is through technology adoption. And I'll use 5G as an example. So as you know, we have 5G connectivity with Verizon ultra wideband. We reach 2 million businesses that way. And it's an opportunity to really establish enterprise level connectivity at an affordable price. And so for the businesses, that provides capacity, stability, and lower latency. So when you look at small businesses, a third of them believe that if they do not adopt 5G technology, they will fall behind their peers. So in the same way that technology such as the cloud has enabled small businesses to compete against much larger firms, 5G will enable mid-sized businesses to roll out the types of experiences which will cut the gap between what their businesses can offer versus larger enterprises. And that effectively differentiates these businesses from their competitive set. I'll give you another one, omni-channel. And so small businesses with little or no prior digital presence have needed to transform really quickly. And so they had to create entire learn, buy, serve digital stacks that connect them with their new and existing customers through different media like email, social, and web to serve them digitally. And those that could not go fully digital, they still need to ensure that their customers get the best connected experience and establish seamless journeys across multiple channels. So post-pandemic, customers are not only more comfortable with the digital channel based on convenience, but in some cases, they're expecting to be provided a mobile journey that enables flexibility and work from anywhere, as hybrid work models are also on the rise. So the last thing that comes to mind for me is data and artificial intelligence. And when you think big data used to be limited to only big companies could access that, and we're seeing much more of a democratization of data, and more data is now available to small businesses than ever. Similarly, AI could be used to previously required significant resources to deploy. Now you have companies offering off-the-shelf solutions to small businesses. So think about digital marketing, chatbots, virtual assistants. That's all accessible now for a small business. So the shift to digital and the global supply chain, despite its current challenges, really gives small businesses access to customers far beyond their home markets.
Yeah. Our customer, our personal customers, not typically the small business themselves, but the service provider to those small businesses. Those are the B2B companies that are paying us for that lead, that click or that call. And those companies are now way more open to creating online or full online shopping experiences, where pre-pandemic they were relying on, well, I need my sales force to close that sale, right? Or that customer's not going to be as sticky as I need them to be. Where the residential side of the business or the consumer side of the business has always been more open to a online conversion. And now we're seeing the B2Bs come full circle there as well. And Centerfield builds those shopping cart and omni-channel experiences on their behalf. And we're seeing, right, not only that those customers that go through the online shopping experience are as sticky, but they're stickier. They've made that decision on their own. They haven't as felt that they were influenced by a salesperson in a way. They've made it on their own, and the lifetime value is higher.
So Scott, I want to use that answer as a little bit of a springboard back, because you are effectively managing now the whole life cycle for the small business in their decision making, and arguably you've had to incorporate a lot of decision support into that process of from when they first making a query all the way to the point where you really are handing off to the seller. What are some of the hand-holding or educational steps that you have had to incorporate into that buying process? And particularly, and Chris, be thinking about this as well, technology is not an easy sell to small business, no matter what the technology is. It could be the simplest app in the world. They're not exactly subject matter experts when it comes to the application of these digital tools. So Scott, back to the question, what are you doing basically in that process to help them along?
Well, so in it's from the query to the sale where you're interacting with them. Mm-hmm. Right at the query level, you have to create custom content in your ad to ensure that seller, right, or searcher feels like you're answering their query question, right, and give them back what they're looking for. And then once they get to your environment or your landing page or your website, you have to ask them questions, not just throw at them what you think they should be buying. So we typically build experiences that have survey flows where the buyer or seller in this case is answering questions, and then based on their answers, we're putting together the right type of package for them. Every step of the way, we're also giving them the opportunity, if they want to interact with us directly. They can call at any time, they can chat at any time. And then once they convert, we're following up immediately with an omni-channel experience as described, where we're texting them right away, we're emailing them right away, making sure that they're satisfied with their purchase, and so that they last a long time.
Chris, same question to you.
So it's interesting because what we see is as you implement more of that technology, as Scott is talking about, most businesses understand the benefits, but they need help wading through the available products and selecting the right ones that fit their needs. And then they see a risk in security because as they go more online and create more integration with their back-end systems, they now have some vulnerabilities. We've even heard from customers that 50% cited endpoint vulnerabilities as a business risk. So a lot of those businesses are looking for ways to solve the cybersecurity issue. We think that's one of the most important ones that faces small businesses today, especially in this recovery. And so with the addition of new digital tools, you get the increased risk. As long as small businesses remember to address cybersecurity at the same time as they're implementing this new technology, they'll be in a good place to hit the ground running. We publish an annual data breach investigation report. It was last released in May of 2021. It's available on our website. But what we found is that despite businesses being smaller in size, it can take small businesses as long, if not longer, to discover that they've had a breach. And in fact, less than half of small businesses, about 47%, were able to find a breach within days, which means bad actors have a lot more time to injure a business. So it's understanding those particular insights and helping small businesses connect to the right solution to solve them is really what we see as the greatest opportunity in technology.
So I'll use Chris, that cracks open again another question. One of our members, ShipStation, I'll use them as an example. Early days of the pandemic, e-commerce is exploding. Their business is exploding. I think they sold close to 45,000 applications in a month's time in those early days of the pandemic. And after high fives went around the table, gee, look at the business that's just exploding. What they confronted was the challenge of adoption. And I want to talk to you a little bit about, okay, you've successfully sold in the technology to just 2 million 5G users. For the different applications, technologies that you have successfully sold in, how big a challenge is adoption in helping small businesses actually get the most out of what it is that they've bought?
When I think about adoption, I think a lot about case studies, and we can do a good job here of helping businesses understand how others have been successful and what the key infrastructure and ingredients are of that success. So in a lot of cases, and Scott talked about the blend between using salespeople and using online experiences, there's this great opportunity in front of us now to help small businesses think about adoption in terms of peering and case studies, which ultimately help them understand what's possible. I think the more that we can position and provide that to them to promote confidence in the businesses, you will see more adoption over time.
Scott, from your perspective, I know that, in many cases, your journey with a small business ends with your baton pass to the ultimate provider. But are there steps in kind of the early journey that you are involved in where qualification and the "are you ready" question basically gets asked?
Yeah, I mean, so much of the small business, when they get to us, they're in research mode.
Mm-hmm.
And so they are self-identifying as ready, or at least they believe they're ready. And it's our job to put the right content in front of them to help them make that final decision, not only with who they want to work with, what technologies they need, but also, are they actually ready? So I think from our perspective, it's our content that does that.
Are you, Scott, I'll ask this question of you first, and then Chris, I want to hear your answer to it. Are small businesses, are they, I guess, from your perspective, are they ready to get growing again? Are they ready to start to buy things, acquire things, incorporate things, advance things, all of that to really reposition the business? Are they ready for it?
Yes, I think they are. I see our demand going, right, our visitors going up, our readership going up. I think people or small businesses don't want to be on the sidelines. Entrepreneurs want to take risks. They want to grow. They want to be on the forefront of the tools and services that they need to grow their business.
And Chris, from your perspective?
I see the same. I see that businesses are looking and assessing their capabilities for readiness and their ability to continue to grow or accelerate growth. There's a few specific trends to highlight. One is we found that for businesses, especially trying to attract employees right now, and we know what the labor market conditions are, that offering work flexibility and mobility is just as important as health insurance right now. So really, what employees have defined as valuable has evolved a little bit. We also see more businesses that are just reimagining business and succeeding at it. And when you think about these business owners and decision makers, they had to make very difficult decisions during COVID-19. Those that have accelerated out of that, it's because they've reimagined their business and they've embraced digital transformation. That's what's allowed them to pivot, rebuild, and restart. And then I talked about the importance of high capacity internet. This is important because when you think about moving all that stuff to platforms, as Scott was talking about, you really need high capacity internet to be able to deliver those services to your businesses. We also need remote collaboration tools. Look, we're on a collaboration tool right now. We have a product at Verizon named Blue Jeans, which is a great collaboration platform. But whatever the preference is, it's really important that businesses understand how to go back to office, or whether they're primarily in office, hybrid, they've had more employees working from home. They have to give options to their employees because the employees want that, and they've also had to be effective doing that. And then finally, I'd say unified communications. So there's cloud-based phone systems out there. We have a product named One Talk, but what's important about it is you can route business calls no matter where the employees are based. And that shows more convenience of a virtual customer experience. It allows you to brand your business as a bigger business because you can use tools like automated receptionists that are very professional, that have routing that allows you to serve those customers differently based on hours. And so these are opportunities we see customers embracing coming out of this, that's really allowing them to accelerate.
So I want to ask, the title of our session is how do you help small businesses think bigger? And Chris, I guess I want you to kind of focus on the early stages of the sales life cycle or the adoption life cycle of a small business. And Scott, you focus on the latter part. But Chris, specifically, we all know that small business are time starved. That has not changed. In fact, that may have actually gotten worse over the course of the last 2 years. They're pretty slavish to their to-do lists. And if you're not on the to-do list today, then chances are you're going to have very, very low share of mind if you've got something that is not on the to-do list. How do you guys break through that challenge and really get small businesses' attention to some of these new capabilities and technologies that they maybe frankly don't know the benefit of?
Yeah, I think a lot of business owners the past few years have sort of not been able to execute their to-do list because certain things were outside their control, and then they had to make difficult decisions to survive. And so we think about how do we help customers continue thinking along those lines and help them take advantage of digital transformation. I think about force multipliers. I really think about how are our companies using technology? Are they using it to cope? Or are they using it to enable growth and show up in a more significant way for their customers? I think we have to help them identify blind spots. And is there a critical challenge that we can unlock for them? So there's some storytelling there that we have to do to help those businesses understand how that impacts their business. And then also that it has a clear ROI. I think ROI is so important to the way that we approach our customers right now, because many of them are in different financial positions than they were a couple of years ago. But when you tell the ROI story, you really help them expand their sense of what's possible.
That's a terrific answer. I love the approach of force multiplier. It's a phrase I use all the time. And I think it really gets at the heart of saying, hey, I can help you with your to-do list. I can add an overarching assistance to that. Scott, you obviously have the benefit of the small business who visits a business.com has already declared, I am interested. I have moved this to my to-do list. Yes. But so many of our members talk about the challenge of moving from consideration to close. And really that can be a very long cycle and very oftentimes falls to the I'm just not in a position yet to cross this off my to-do list. Yeah. How do you guys help in that consideration to close period?
Yeah, right. So I think there's two ways. Number one, I think, or I know from our perspective, we have targeted the products or services, or we over the last 2 years that businesses will need going forward. And so we've created our content to speak to what we think are the tools, products, and services that businesses need now. And we've talked about a lot of them, right? Business phone systems, point of sale technology, CRMs, things that move that digital transformation. And we focus that content on moving that business to close, right? Our partners value us not only based on how great our content is, how big our audience is, but how much that audience interacts with them and becomes a new customer. The ROI that they get by partnering with us on our sites, as Chris mentioned. So we have to create that content in a manner that is educational, informational, and moves the business in a way to become a customer of our partner. I think the second part is that how do we get businesses to think differently or to think about new products or services? Well, we have 20 million plus professionals coming to our sites every year. In the content that we create, we are suggesting other products or services. We are suggesting other articles for them to read. We are offering them the ability to sign up for a newsletter that we are recreating that will be sent twice a week that will help them grow their business and grow themselves professionally. So we are in education mode all the time, trying to move our small businesses from consideration to purchase.
So Chris, 25 years veteran of Verizon business, you've obviously seen a lot of changes. From yours perspective, how has the approach that Verizon business takes to selling to small business, how has that changed? Obviously, you've been tremendously successful with it, but how has it really changed? And specifically, how has it changed over the last 2 years?
We've done a lot of work to bring value to businesses that aren't always directly related to our products and services. And I think that's critical because, look, there's a time and place and there's a way to position that you have something that you're selling that has an ROI, that is a force multiplier. But I think there's also a sense of let's help each other as businesses, let's help each other as a community. And so when you heard Scott talk about things across the digital journey and newsletters, those are great examples because you're showing businesses how they can be successful, and it's not always a tie back to something you're selling. And that's one thing we've really embraced over the last couple of years is trying to help our businesses and customers be successful because it's one of our 4 stakeholders. We have our stakeholders as shareholders, our customers, our employees, and society. And our small businesses, while they're customers, they're also a part of society. And so one thing that we've particularly looked at is how are we making sure we're caring for that societal element, especially during the last 2 years when it was so under pressure from the circumstances that we had.
And that's a really good example. I think we do a great job of that as well. A lot of our content is focused on product service reviews, but 80% of our content is focused on how to be a better business owner or how to be a better employee. And that's what creates the stickiness for our readership to come back when they want to review a product or service, is that they trust us because we help them.
That's a great point to emphasize. Agreed. Helping small business is the pathway to a lot of opportunity, no doubt. I want to wrap up by asking a question in 2 parts. And the first one, and maybe a little uncomfortable, is do small businesses trust us as either a provider like Verizon or a facilitator like a business.com? Do they trust us to help them take the steps, make the purchases, do the things that are going to help them get growing again? And Chris, I'll start with you.
Yeah, so I think trust is an important question. And when you think about small businesses, one of the biggest challenges they face is that they have to be, or at least try to be, experts at everything when they start out, from the plumber to the electrician to a website developer or marketing wizard. And so what I found is that the small business owners I've worked with tend to have a good grasp of technology and they're familiar with Verizon, but at the same time, they do lean on us for expert advice because we've seen similar situations many times over. And ultimately, there's an exchange of respect. We would never presume to know everything about that business or its needs better than the small business owner themselves. And in exchange, we offer advice based on deep technical knowledge of the technology available and how it can best support their challenges and opportunities. There's an inquisitiveness to the way that we approach our customers that's really important. And so when I think about that question of trust, it reminds me of customer surveys and feedback that I've seen over the years. When you look at positive surveys, they typically have elements of quality, value, empathy, and expertise. And some of the phrases that are mentioned are, my salesperson listened to me, you took time to understand my needs, you didn't try to oversell or position products I didn't need. And trust is gained by ultimately listening, understanding, and recommending the right solutions. And I think that's key to ensuring that we're bringing value to our small businesses.
Scott, how about you?
Yeah, so earning trust is, I think, priority number one for our business, and I think it comes from two places. Number one, it comes from our content, where we're helping businesses make informed decisions, right? So the small business owners have to trust that our content is well thought out, well researched, and created in a way that's helpful to them. But at the end of the second half of that is that the service providers that we work with have to be vetted, right? The service providers that we are matching with the small businesses, if those relationships don't work out, then we lose all of our trust. And so it comes down to earning their trust through content and then keeping their trust through matching them with the right service providers.
Great answers, both of you. Now let me ask an even tougher question. Chris, how do you inspire small business to trust themselves that they can make the right decisions to support their business?
I think that businesses today, coming out of what we've just gone through, should actually feel great about where they are because they clearly have made transformation a priority. And so if you think about the last couple of years, it's hard to ignore that there's been a tremendous amount of devastation there. That also served as a catalyst to accelerate transformation for small businesses. So I think that they've validated that they are competent, that they have runway, that they have a journey that's ahead of them. And many of them leverage the obstacles of COVID-19 to implement new practices, to establish new business models and services. And the level of innovation has been particularly impressive among small businesses. So I think that they should feel in a good position to accelerate their journey. And you just have to come alongside that and add value and understand their business and bring insights to help them accelerate from the point that they are.
Great answer. Scott, what would you add?
Yeah, great answer. So there's not a ton to add to that. I think our mission has to be, and our keen focus has to be on providing the information to help them, the small business owner, have confidence in themselves. All right. And so we're really their foundation for them to build upon, right? We're giving them the reviews, we're giving them tips and tools. We're putting newsletters in their inbox to build a foundation that they can then go build their business upon.
And Scott, are you bullish then on the future of small business?
Yes.
And Chris, same question to you. Are you bullish?
I'm very bullish. I think businesses are bullish too. And I talked earlier about some of the surveying we've done. We heard from businesses that 68% feel their business will be better off a year from now than it is today. And so I think those businesses that have learned those new digital skills and made technology investments they have an opportunity to take their business to new heights through the knowledge that they've gained. So I'm very bullish for the state of small businesses ahead.
Well, I'm bullish on the fact that this was a fabulous little exchange between you guys. I can't think of two better leaders who could talk and who did talk about how we help small business think bigger. I want to thank both of you guys, and hopefully see you both at the Napa conference in May. I think this is a great conversation to bring forward to the leaders group and the leaders forum and that larger audience there, live audience there. So thank you very much for doing this, Chris. Great to meet you.
Thank you, Dave. It was a great talk.
And thank you, Scott.
Thank you very much, Dave. See you in Napa.